The path ahead is not gravel and it is not pavement. It is grass, cut wide and smooth, curving away over a low green rise. In winter, this same lane carries cross-country skiers gliding through the dark. Today, in the middle of June, it belongs to the Meadowlarks and to whoever chooses to walk it. Welcome to the Nordic trails of Lake Elmo Park Reserve. We are in Washington County, on the eastern edge of the Twin Cities, where the suburbs give way to farm country before reaching the St. Croix River. Lake Elmo Park Reserve is the largest tract of public land in the whole county. It covers roughly 2,165 acres, about 3.5 square miles of rolling hills, lakes, forest, and prairie. What sets it apart is a promise written into how it is managed. 80% of that land is set aside to be preserved and protected, left to become wild again. That 80% number is the heart of this place. It is what makes this a park reserve rather than an ordinary park. Most of the land here is not meant for ball fields or parking lots. It is meant to slowly resemble what stood here before settlers arrived in the middle of the 1800s. So the developed edges stay small, and the wide green center is allowed to breathe. To understand these hills, you have to go back to the ice. During the last great glaciation, a great tongue of ice called the Superior Lobe pushed down out of the northeast. When it finally stalled and melted, it dumped the rock and sand and clay it had carried, building a long ridge of debris called the St. Croix Moraine. Lake Elmo sits right on that moraine. Every rise and hollow you walk over is glacial till, piled here roughly 10 to 12,000 years ago. You feel the moraine in your legs. The ground here does not lie flat. It rolls and pitches in short, steep climbs and quick descents, a landscape geologists call hummocky. This is why the Nordic skiers love it in winter, and why the summer walker gets a workout too. The land itself is the exercise machine. There is a name for this pattern of hills and hollows. It is called knob and kettle. As the glacier retreated, huge blocks of ice broke off and were buried in sand and gravel. When those buried blocks finally melted, the ground above them collapsed into rounded pits. Those pits became the kettle ponds and low, wet hollows scattered across the reserve, while the ground between them stands up as knobs. Several small lakes and ponds hide in the folds of this park. Some are true kettle lakes, born from those stranded blocks of ice. Their edges are soft with cattails and sedges, and in early summer they hum with red-winged blackbirds and frogs. The trail keeps a respectful distance, letting the water and its wildlife have their space. Picture this ground before there were roads or fences. Much of eastern Minnesota was a mosaic of tallgrass prairie and open oak groves, shaped by fire and by grazing herds. Big bluestem grass could stand taller than a person by late summer. This is the landscape the reserve is trying, slowly and deliberately, to bring back. The 80% set aside is a canvas for that patient work. The town just outside these gates has a curious story. The community of Lake Elmo grew up around a railroad stop in the 1800s. The lake it borders was once simply called Bass Lake. All of that changed on the strength of a single popular book. In 1872, a rail line reached this country from St. Paul, and suddenly the lakes east of the city were within an easy ride. City dwellers came out by train to escape the summer heat. Bass Lake, clean and cool, became a fashionable resort destination. Where there had been farms and quiet water, there were now excursion trains and visitors in their summer best. Into this moment stepped a St. Paul railroad man and developer named Alpheus Stickney. He bought the land between the tracks and the lakeshore, and he set out to build a proper resort. He wanted a name grander than Bass Lake. He found it, of all places, in a best-selling novel of the day. The novel was called St. Elmo, wildly popular in that era. In 1879, Stickney renamed the lake and the village Lake Elmo, borrowing the fashionable name from those pages. He built a large lake hotel said to hold some 58 rooms, looking out over the water. The resort era eventually faded, but the borrowed name stuck, and it is the name on the map to this day. Now walk back out of history and onto the grass. This wide lane beneath your feet is a Nordic ski trail, and that is not a small side feature of this park. It is one of the finest cross-country ski networks in the metro. In winter, it draws skiers from across the region. In summer, it becomes a hiker's highway through the prairie. When the snow falls, the reserve grooms roughly 15 miles of trail for both classic and skate skiing. One loop runs about 8 6/10 miles for those who want distance. Another, a little over 5 miles, is lit for skiing after dark, its lamps glowing over the white hills. Skiers of every level find their line here, from gentle flats to those short, steep moraine climbs. At the hub of it all sits the Nordic Center, a warm and welcoming building set among the trails. In the cold months, it is a place to warm up, to rent gear, and to gather. Through the rest of the year, it stands open for restrooms and shelter for anyone out on the paths. It is the quiet anchor of the whole trail system. The word Nordic here points to a style of skiing, the classic cross-country kind where the heel lifts free. It is skiing as travel, as a way of covering ground across open country, not racing downhill. That spirit fits this land perfectly. The trails were laid out to flow with the moraine, to reward endurance and rhythm rather than speed. Here is the secret that most winter skiers never see. When the snow melts, these grooming lanes do not close. They become soft-mown paths through waist-high grass, quiet and green and almost empty. A ski trail in July is a completely different world. You get the same rolling route with none of the cold. Underfoot, the trail is turf, kept mown wide and clear across the grassland. In the warm months, these same corridors are shared by hikers, trail runners, mountain bikers, and horses. Because they are grass rather than gravel, they feel gentle and forgiving with each step. They stitch the whole reserve together into one long green ribbon. Elsewhere in this reserve lays a different kind of trail entirely. Around Eagle Point Lake, the paths run about 3 8/10 miles in a loop that is hillier, more open and busier with horses. That corner draws the mountain bikers and the riders. Out here on the Nordic side, the mood is calmer, the grass softer, the prairie wider. One park, two very different characters. The wide grasslands you cross are not simply leftover fields. They are the site of active restoration. Washington County has been converting worn-out grassland of Kentucky bluegrass and smooth brome, along with old cropland, back into true native prairie. In one effort that meant reseeding roughly 78 acres of tired grassland and another 22 acres of former farm field. Larger plans reach toward well over 100 acres of oak savanna and prairie reborn. This work is slow and unglamorous, but it changes everything that lives here. Native prairie grasses send roots down many feet into the moraine soil. They hold water, feed pollinators, and shelter creatures that a lawn never could. When you walk this trail in June, the buzzing and rustling around you is the sound of that restored habitat working. Listen, and you may hear one of the great voices of the grassland. The bobolink is a small blackbird of the open prairie, the male wearing a strange reverse tuxedo, black below and pale on the back. He sings a bubbling, tumbling, almost electronic song as he flutters over the grass. Restored prairies like this one are exactly the nesting habitat he needs, and he is one of the birds this land was rebuilt to welcome. The bobolink is not alone out here. This kind of grassland is home to a whole chorus of birds that need open country and nothing else. Meadowlarks, savanna sparrows, vesper sparrows, and field sparrows all nest in habitat like this. These are birds that have vanished from much of the landscape as prairie was plowed under. Here, on purpose, they are being given a place to return. Among them, the eastern meadowlark may be the most stirring to hear. It is a stocky, ground-loving bird with a brilliant yellow breast crossed by a bold black band. From a fence post or a tall stem, it pours out a clear, slurred, whistling song that carries far across the open ground. To hear a meadowlark on a June morning is to hear the prairie itself finding its voice again. bird life here reaches beyond the grassland singers. Where prairie meets woodland and water, the variety multiplies. Over the years, observers have recorded close to 30 different kinds of warblers moving through this reserve. Each spring and fall, the trees and thickets fill with these small travelers, resting and feeding on their long journeys. Return for a moment to that bobolink singing over the grass, because his story is astonishing. Each year, he undertakes one of the longest migrations of any songbird in the Americas. He flies from these northern grasslands all the way to the grasslands of southern South America and back again. A single round trip can cover something like 12,500 miles. The bird bubbling over this Minnesota prairie in June may spend the winter in Argentina. For all its wildness, the reserve keeps one very human pleasure at its heart. Tucked among the preserved land is a place made purely for summer joy. It is not one of the wild Kettle lakes, but something built by hand. On a hot Minnesota afternoon, it is the most popular spot in the whole park. That spot is the swim pond, a man-made basin of about 2 acres with a sandy bottom. Its water is chlorinated and filtered like a pool, yet it feels like a small clear lake. Families come here through the summer to swim in safe, clean water surrounded by grassland. When the pond began to age, the county rebuilt it, replacing the liner and even reshaping it to make the swimming shallower and safer. From a high point on the Nordic Trail, you can read the whole design of this place at once. There are the open, restored prairies, the wooded slopes, the hidden ponds, and the neat corner given over to people. This layering is deliberate. It lets the reserve be a swimming hole and a campground and a wild refuge, all inside the same fence. Watch for the scattered oaks standing alone in the grass. These are the signature of oak savanna, a landscape that is neither dense forest nor open prairie but something in between. Widely spaced, fire-tolerant oaks once dotted these grasslands, their broad crowns sheltering a rich mix of life beneath. The reserve is working to restore this rare in-between world along with the open prairie. And this is the perfect month to see it all awaken. In June, the restored grasslands come alive with color, from the purples of spiderwort and lupin to the small, warm oranges of hoary puccoon. Butterflies and bees move between the blooms while the grassland birds sing overhead. It is a fleeting show, a few short weeks when the prairie is at its most generous. To walk here now is to catch the reserve at its brightest. So that is the Nordic side of Lake Elmo Park Reserve, a place shaped by ice, protected by a promise, and slowly returning to the prairie it once was. In winter it belongs to the skiers gliding through the lamplight. In June it belongs to the meadowlarks and the walkers and the wide green grass. Thank you for watching. Follow for more of the trails of the world.